Morning, everyone, and welcome to a jam-packed episode of the Cup of Joe Show. I'm Joe. That's Jeremy. This is a crazy move. It looks like my arm's going to fall off. But anyway, we have a lot to get to, so we're just going to jump right into it. We actually have a list of things that we have to talk about and the time allotted that we can talk about them. So we're going to start with Ant-Man movie that was released this weekend, the next chapter in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I know you're all wondering, I mean, is this worth it? Is it, is it any good? Is it on par? Is it terrible? Is it a step back? I personally am here to tell you that it's a good movie. It's a good movie, and it belongs. It absolutely belongs. Is it as good? I'm gonna say no, as the other Marvel standalones. I guess for the most part, it's better than Iron Man 3. But again, that's not a good movie. And I'm trying to think of what, but I mean, it belongs. It definitely has a place. It's very funny. This took on a similar, like, Guardians of the Galaxy type thing, except Guardians of the Galaxy was just better in every way. But that doesn't mean that Ant-Man is bad. This is a solid film. It's like I said, it's very funny. Paul Rudd I think is very good as Ant-Man. Michael Pena is very funny in the movie. Michael Douglas is very good in the movie. Evangeline Lilly's very good. I mean, yeah, as far as the actors and the acting go, pretty good. Corey Stoll was your typical, bad guy. Marvel has a bad guy problem, and they continue to have a bad guy problem. Corey Stoll's just there. He's the evil guy, but you don't get a big thing as to why. I mean, you get it explained, but it's not. There's no gradual, dip. He's just like evil, mustache twirling villain. But overall, I mean, they fitted in with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. As much problems as this had, I mean, this movie is actually pretty. I didn't think it was that disjointed, and he'll give you opinions. But I mean, I thought that it was actually pretty well done, pretty well intertwined into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Ultimately, I would say see it. It's good. It's fun. And just don't go in expecting another Winter Soldier, and you'll be fine. So it's a good movie.
Largely, I agree. It is pretty much in the same kind of vein as Guardians of the Galaxy. It's light. It's fun. It doesn't get too heavy or serious at times. Paul Rudd actually does a pretty good job in the leading role, and he has a shirtless scene, and he's clearly been working out, so that's something to make note of. And the movie kind of just glides along. I mean, there are times it kind of feels like it's just I have no idea what kind of term I'm looking for here, but it's kind of just like paint by numbers. It's kind of just doing the same thing that a lot of other movies have done, a lot of other Marvel movies. It's formulaic. As Joe said, the villain is very generic, and Marvel has yet to really have a villain with like good motivations and development and everything, aside from Wilson Fisk on Daredevil. But I mean, that's a TV show, and there's more time to focus on things like that in development.
And Loki.
But Loki too. That's a good one. So anyway, that's definitely something that they need to work on. But I mean, overall, Ant-Man's a pretty good flick. It's probably kind of down there in terms of Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. It is better than Iron Man 3. Probably better than The Incredible Hulk, which again people forget even exists. But General Ross is coming back in Civil War, so its existence will be actually acknowledged. So anyway, yeah, Ant-Man, just light, fun kind of movie. Has its issues, but if you're a fan of the MCU and you want to see pretty much the setup for Civil War, honestly, actually, you should go see it.
You want to stay till the end, credits. I don't think you'll understand it because I don't, but I mean, you'll want to stay till the very end. There are two end credit scenes. Okay, there's mid credits and there's an end credit scene, and yeah, so you want to stay. And I guess to touch very quickly, Ant-Man sometimes seemed kind of out of focus, and it was kind of you're just kind of squinting to find like where he was. It kind of looked a little blurry, but I feel like this movie would have been really cool in 3D, and maybe those moments where you're just kind of like, where is everybody? They probably were like in great focus in 3D, so this may be something that you legitimately want to check out in 3D. I haven't, but I may recommend it here. So ultimately, good film, not amazing, but a lot of fun and worth seeing. Now we're going to move on to Minions. I saw Minions, Jeremy didn't see it, she was just beginning my opinion, but it seems to be pretty universal here. Minions was a step back from the first two Despicable Me movies, where I actually thought that it was growing. I thought the second Despicable Me was better. So Minions, as a spin-off, was a little bit of a setback. Well, not much of a setback, it's going to make a ton of money, but you know, this is a movie that's kind of based on side characters, as what a spin-off is. But the problem is that these side characters don't speak English, mostly. It's interesting, you kind of... I didn't realize it till now, but they just kind of speak a bunch of different languages, actually. They're not, you know, they throw in, like, a bunch of different languages, and I didn't realize it until, like, it was the focus of the film. I was like, oh, I mean, that's French, that's Spanish, but like, it was just a lot. You know, it was just a lot of kind of childish humor, a lot of slapstick. You know, this is to say that this is a great movie for kids, but this is definitely aimed at kids. There are some funny parts, you know, but it's mostly child humor. So I mean, if you have kids, go take your kids. They're gonna have a great time. But you're gonna, you know, struggle through some parts as an adult. So I mean, there are good parts. John Hamm as Herb is actually hilarious. As much as I don't like John Hamm for no reason at all, yeah, he's wonderful. Sandra Bullock is pretty bland, honestly, as the villain. You know, and it sets up a movie that I do want to see, which is Gru growing up with the Minions. I don't know if we'll ever get that film, but it just seems like that would be the case. And time's up, so I didn't really have any more to say, though. So it's a little bit of a step down, but, you know, it's kind of fun. You know, it's fine as a kid's film. Next on the slate, we have... the Batman v Superman trailer was released. We had Comic-Con last weekend, so a lot of trailers released. We're just going to talk about a few. Batman v Superman. Jeremy, your thoughts on the trailer?
Well, I gotta say that I definitely like the vibe and the overall direction and atmosphere that the DC Cinematic Universe seems to be going in. It's clearly a lot darker, I mean, both in terms of subject matter and also, like, literal color palette than the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I think that's a good thing. I think that's what DC needs to do. They need to differentiate and they need to stand apart. So I like that they're going there. And, you know, this actually looks like a pretty gritty film. You know, it's taking a lot of inspiration from the graphic novel The Dark Knight Returns, which itself was pretty damn dark. So I like that. You know, we got to see some of Ben Affleck as both Bruce Wayne and Batman, and that was nice to see. He looks really good in the part. You know, Henry Cavill's looking good again. We got to see a little Wonder Woman. Got to see a little of Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor.
It's the perfect face to make when saying we got to see a little bit of Jesse Eisenberg.
Yeah, still not at all convinced that that's gonna work, and I feel like that was just stunt casting. But yeah, overall, I thought it was a really, really good trailer, and it gets me excited for the movie.
Yeah, it's a really good trailer. It's, you know, but again, the things I worry about is Gal Gadot. I've also heard Gal Gadot, but I think it's Gal. I think she has said her name, and it's Gal Gadot. So I'm gonna go with that. Sorry, Gal. The yeah, she hasn't spoken yet in a trailer, which is scary, but she looks good. You know, in what we've seen, she looks good in the costume. She looks good, you know, out of the costume. Actually, I mean, she's got kind of that look. So I mean, the look definitely works. The question is, can she act? We don't know. But I'm actually more concerned about Jesse Eisenberg in this role, who is a really good actor, but he just doesn't seem to fit this role at all. The red capes are coming. The red capes are coming. That's not intimidating. Like, I feel like Lex Luthor is supposed to be intimidating, and it doesn't really fit the mold. But ultimately, the tone, everything, it looks like it's going to be a solid movie. I'm very excited for it. To just see this Batman v Superman. Let's get that. I mean, it might be, this movie might be a little too clogged as a problem. I mean, I want to see Batman v Superman. That's the name of the film. And we should see that mostly, for the most part of the film. So ultimately, very excited. Like how it looks. Like that they're following the comic books. Even like shot for shot they are, which is kind of cool. Certain shots, that is. Not like Watchmen, but yeah, certain shots. Anyway, we've gone over time. Suicide Squad was the other trailer. I don't know why I keep picking it up. I know it's on it. But we've got, ultimately, quick thoughts. I'm more interested to see what Suicide Squad is going to be than Batman v Superman, actually. This is very original as to, you know, the movie universe. So we've never really seen anything like this before in superhero films. So I'm pretty excited. You know, Jared Leto looks great. He looks freaky, and he should as the Joker. You know, everyone really looks good in their parts. Jai Courtney looks like he's there. And he has an accent, so great, I guess. Interestingly enough, the person and he's a very good actor, he's phenomenal, but Will Smith just looks out of place in the Suicide Squad. Just looks like a bunch of crazy people and Will Smith. So I don't know, that's going to work, but Will Smith's a great actor, so it probably will. Ultimately, I mean, this movie looks really, at least really interesting. We don't know where it's going to go or anything, and it is a ways away. It's like 13 months or so we'll see what happens, but it's good footage.
Yeah, I agree. I am also interested to see, you know, what they can do with a concept like this, because, you know, I mean, sure, we've had, you know, anti-heroes kind of, but we've never really had like a true villain. In a starring role, let alone a whole team of them. I am kind of concerned that since it is a whole team, you know, how much time can you really dedicate to like the backstories and everything of all those individual people? I get the feeling it'll focus on some more than others. Probably a lot more on Harley Quinn and maybe the Joker than the others, but I'm not complaining because I'm definitely a Harley Quinn fanboy, and Margot Robbie looks great in that role. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited for Suicide Squad. I definitely want to see what they can do with that. I agree about Will Smith. He just seems almost too sympathetic to be a villain, and I don't know. It's kind of hard for Will Smith to work as a bad guy or even an anti-hero.
Although quickly, I think I heard in the comics, actually, Deadshot is actually a good guy, but it just doesn't seem to fit the thing. I think that when one time, like, Batman and Robin, they went on like vacation or something, he actually like took up their job while they were gone, but he killed people.
Oh, okay.
So Batman had him locked up, so he's there. So technically, it seems like he's supposed to be a good guy.
Oh, okay.
So, but like again, that just doesn't seem to fit. I don't know. Maybe it will once, but like Will Smith just doesn't seem to fit with these people, and maybe that's supposed to be the case. We don't know. It's a teaser trailer that was like 3 minutes long, but it's actually a teaser trailer. So we'll see what happens. But box office time for Jeremy Evans, the Smooth. Just call him Smooth.
All right. So our number 5 film last weekend was The Gallows. That opened to 9.8 million. Now the production budget on this was 100,000. So, this could have opened to 200,000 and been a success. So nearly getting to 10 million is pretty good. And that's the thing about these micro budget horror movies. You keep the budget low, you don't even have to make that much money.
That's right.
4th place, Terminator Genisys. That fell 49% to 13.8 million. Total of 68.9. This is not getting to 100. Probably about 90-ish is all I can hope for. And, that's just kind of weird to think that a Terminator movie won't even get itself to 100, but that's how far the franchise has fallen. And, maybe this is the end of it. Maybe we'll see another attempt 10, 15 years from now. Who knows? Number 3 was Inside Out. That fell 41% to 17.7 million, giving it a total of 284.2. I'm actually pretty impressed with that hold in the face of Minions, because they're competing for the same crowd for the most part. So that's a pretty decent hold for Inside Out. It's continuing to march toward 300 million. Should get over there. Well, I mean, it will get over there fairly easily. Could probably still end up around 320, and I think there's a chance that it fends off Minions in the long run. So we'll see about that, though. Number 2, Jurassic World, 18.2 million, down 38%, and has a total of 590.7. That just doesn't even feel real to say something like that. It has almost 600 million. But that is the reality of Jurassic World. Obviously it's going to get over 600 at this point. It's got a really good shot at like 650. It's going to easily get past the Avengers. And it's just an unbelievable run. And yet it's still having a hard time catching Furious 7 worldwide. Which is, I have no idea how that movie did so insanely well overseas. But, I don't know, I guess they liked Paul Walker even more than we did. I don't know.
Well, Jurassic World didn't go to Abu Dhabi. Was it? And jumped raptors through buildings to another building. Was it? So.
But, that's what they were missing. That's
what they were missing, exactly.
So anyway, our number 1 picture was Minions. That opened to 115.7 million. That's really, really, really huge. That's a big opening. The interesting thing to note is that animated movies seem to kind of have a limit on how much they can open. The record is 120 or 121 for Shrek the Third. So I think it's just because they lend themselves more to having longer legs, and they just don't have that crazy fanboy rush, because the crowd is mostly contingent on their parents and when their parents can take them to see the movies and everything. So there's that. Now, Minions isn't as well received as either of the first 2 Despicable Me movies, and the first 2 Despicable Me movies open on Wednesdays, and this opened on a Friday, so it's kind of hard to compare directly there. Even still, with a debut this high, Minions really ought to be getting to 300 million, but how much higher than that, we'll have to wait and see.
I guess just quickly, Terminator will go back to, the rights will go back to James Cameron, I think, in about 2-3 years. Mm-hmm. So we'll see what happens. Maybe, but he's working on 3 Avatar movies, so maybe there'll be a crossover Terminator Avatars. Well, we don't know. It'll be better than what they've been churning out of Terminator, though.
Agreed.
So, anyway, moving on. We've already seen Ant-Man. We've talked about Ant-Man. So the other movie that came out this weekend was Trainwreck. And man, this movie is actually getting really good reviews, and it's probably really funny. But LeBron James is in it, and I don't like him. Thoughts?
Those are my thoughts. But realistically, I like Judd Apatow, even though he hasn't had a really good movie or a hit in several years now. But this looks like the thing that's going to get him back on track. Bill Hader's a funny guy. I still don't know if I like Amy Schumer or not, but there's definitely a lot of potential here. I'd like to see it. Haven't seen a comedy in a while, so it should do all right at the box office. 25 to 30 million opening.
LeBron James plays himself, and he's Bill Hader's friend, apparently. Have a good one. You let that sink in. Okay, bye.